The warning arrived at exactly 3 minutes past midnight. Nobody knew who sent it. Nobody knew how it entered every military network on Earth at the same time. The message contained only 9 words. Leave your planet immediately. Extermination begins in 30 days. At first, people thought it was a prank. Then satellites started disappearing, one by one, without explosions, without signals, without debris. They simply vanished. On the 4th day, the International Space Station lost contact with Earth. Its last transmission lasted only 4 seconds. We can see something moving around Then silence. The station vanished too. Panic spread across the world. Governments denied everything. Scientists demanded answers. Nobody had any. Then the second message arrived. This time the sender identified itself. The Galactic Council has classified humanity as a Class 7 infestation. Removal is authorized. That single sentence changed Earth forever. Across the galaxy, billions watched the announcement. Many alien species were not surprised. Humanity had always been strange to them. Too aggressive. Too adaptable. Too difficult to control. Humans spread across environments that should have killed them. They survived disasters, wars, disease, starvation. They always returned stronger. Many races quietly feared what humanity might become someday. Now the Council had solved the problem, or so they believed, far above Earth. Inside the Council citadel, representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered. Gigantic screens displayed images of human cities, human farms, human factories, human children. The vote had already passed. Extermination was approved. Council Speaker Varex folded his silver arms behind his back. The infestation will be removed peacefully if possible. Several delegates laughed. Peacefully. Nobody expected humans to cooperate. A blue-skinned delegate raised a hand. What if they resist? More laughter. Varex smiled. They possess primitive technology. They cannot threaten the Council. The room agreed. The meeting moved on. Humanity was considered finished. Nobody noticed one observer remaining silent. Ambassador Talira of the Keth Federation watched the screens carefully. Unlike the others, she had actually met humans, only once. Years ago, a damaged exploration vessel had drifted into Keth territory. The crew was human. They were starving, exhausted, near death. Talira remembered what happened next. The humans thanked everyone who helped them, then spent 3 months repairing local infrastructure before leaving. No payment requested, no reward expected, just gratitude. The memory never left her. Now she stared at the image of Earth. Something felt wrong, very wrong. Meanwhile, on Earth, chaos continued growing. But inside a small workshop near the coast of Maine, one man reacted differently. Ethan Hayes sat quietly as the news played on an old screen, 34 years old, engineer, former military technician, father of 1 daughter. He listened to every report carefully. His daughter Lily sat beside him. Are the aliens coming? Ethan looked at her. He forced a smile. I think so. Are they bad? He hesitated. Looks like it. Lily frowned. Then we should stop them. Ethan almost laughed. Children made impossible things sound simple. He ruffled her hair. Maybe we will. But deep inside, he felt something strange. The messages bothered him. Not because of the threat, because of the wording, infestation. The aliens did not describe humanity as enemies, or rivals, or a danger. They described humans as pests. That meant something. A species confident enough to call others pests had probably defeated thousands before. They expected obedience. They expected fear. They expected surrender. And that assumption worried Ethan more than any fleet. 3 days later, governments finally revealed the truth. Alien vessels had been detected beyond the solar system. Thousands of them, moving steadily toward Earth. The estimated arrival time, 23 days. Fear exploded worldwide. Markets collapsed. Cities rioted. Religious groups filled the streets. Military forces mobilized. The world prepared for a war nobody believed it could win. Then something unexpected happened. Humanity stopped fighting itself. Not completely. But enough. Engineers shared research. Nations exchanged military data. Old enemies opened communication lines. For the first time in generations, survival mattered more than politics. Ethan found himself recruited into an emergency defense project. Thousands of scientists and engineers gathered inside a converted naval facility. The mission was simple: find anything, any weakness, any advantage, any chance at all. Most experts believed the effort was hopeless. Ethan disagreed. Every system had weaknesses. Every machine broke eventually. Every empire made mistakes. The larger the empire, the bigger the blind spots. For weeks he studied every piece of alien information available. Patterns emerged, strange patterns. The Council transmitted enormous amounts of data openly. Ship routes, supply schedules, military organization. It was almost careless. Then Ethan realized something shocking. The aliens were not hiding information because they were confident. They were hiding nothing because they genuinely believed humans could not understand it. The Council did not respect humanity enough to keep secrets. Ethan stared at the files for hours. A dangerous idea formed. What if arrogance was their weakness? Across the galaxy, another problem was growing. Talira continued investigating Council records. The more she searched, the more disturbing the truth became. Entire civilizations had disappeared after receiving infestation classifications. No appeals, no trials, no negotiations, just removal. Some records were heavily restricted. Others were missing completely. Someone had erased evidence. Why? Late one night, she accessed an old archive. A classified document appeared. Her blood ran cold. The infestation label had nothing to do with danger, or aggression, or biology. The designation was often assigned to species occupying strategically valuable territory. It was an excuse, a legal shortcut, a way for powerful members of the Council to seize resources. Earth had been condemned before first contact even occurred. Humanity never had a chance. Talira immediately tried contacting other delegates. Most ignored her. A few warned her to stop asking questions. One sent a private message: delete everything you found. People disappear over this. Talira understood the warning, but she also understood something else. Billions of innocent lives were about to be destroyed. Meanwhile, the alien fleet entered the outer edges of the solar system. For the first time, humanity saw its enemy. Massive ships darkened space, some larger than cities, others larger than mountains. The sight crushed morale across Earth. Military commanders knew the truth. No human fleet could stop this. No weapon could stop this. Humanity faced extinction. Then an emergency broadcast interrupted every screen on Earth. The source was unknown. The signal originated from deep space. A woman appeared. Blue skin, golden eyes, alien. The world froze. Talira looked directly into the camera. Her voice shook slightly. If this message reaches Earth, listen carefully. The Council lied. You were never judged. You were chosen. Your planet contains something they desperately want. Silence filled the room behind Ethan. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Talira continued, I do not know what it is. But your extermination was planned long before first contact. Suddenly alarms blared behind her. Someone was coming. Her eyes widened. She spoke faster. There is one more thing. The Council is not as strong as it appears. Their greatest weakness is hidden inside. The transmission cut off. Gone. Every screen returned to static. Ethan stared at the blank monitor. The room erupted into confusion. Questions filled the air. What was hidden inside the Council? What did Earth possess? Where was Talira now? And why did the most powerful government in the galaxy seem terrified of its own secrets? Then a military officer entered the room, carrying a newly decoded signal. His face had gone completely pale. Ethan, you need to see this. What is it? The officer swallowed hard. The alien fleet isn't slowing down. Ethan frowned. They're arriving early. The officer shook his head. Fear filled his eyes. No, they're already here. The room fell silent. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Ethan stared at the officer. What do you mean they're here? The officer placed a tablet on the table. A live satellite image appeared. At first Ethan saw only darkness. Then his stomach tightened. Hundreds of enormous objects hung above Earth. They had not approached from the edge of the solar system. They had appeared directly in orbit. Without warning, without detection, without explanation, several engineers exchanged nervous glances. One whispered, "That's impossible." The officer nodded. "That's what everyone said." Across the planet, billions looked toward the sky. Bright lights moved above the atmosphere. Some ships were so large they could be seen with the naked eye. Fear spread through every city. Parents rushed home. Families gathered together. Emergency shelters filled within hours. Yet something felt strange. The fleet did not attack. It simply waited, watching, as if expecting something, or someone. Inside the Galactic Council citadel, Speaker Varex stood before a massive command display. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Earth was surrounded. Humanity was trapped. Victory seemed certain. Then an aide rushed into the chamber. "Speaker, we have a problem." Varex frowned. "What problem?" "The human information networks. What about them? They are sharing Talira's message everywhere." Varex laughed. "So?" The aide hesitated. "Many council worlds are seeing it too." The laughter disappeared. Varex turned slowly. "What did you say?" The aide swallowed. "The message spread before we could block it." For the first time that day, concern appeared in Varex's eyes. Secrets were dangerous, questions were worse, and Talira had just given the galaxy both. Meanwhile, inside a secure military facility beneath Colorado, world leaders gathered for an emergency briefing. The situation looked hopeless. The alien fleet outnumbered every human spacecraft thousands of times over. Their weapons were unknown, their defenses were unknown, their capabilities were unknown. But one thing was becoming clear. The aliens expected surrender. That assumption created an opportunity. Ethan sat near the back of the room, listening carefully. An admiral pointed toward a display. "They have not attacked." "Not yet." "That means they need something." Several officials nodded. Another officer spoke. "If Talira was telling the truth, Earth has something valuable." The room grew quiet. Nobody knew what that valuable thing might be. Rare minerals, ancient ruins, a hidden energy source. Everything was possible. Then Ethan raised his hand. The room turned toward him. "What if it isn't on Earth?" Several people looked confused. Ethan continued. "What if it's humanity?" Silence followed. The admiral crossed his arms. "Explain." Ethan leaned forward. "The council classified us before meeting us. They planned extermination before contact. That doesn't make sense if they only wanted resources." Several faces changed. Now they were listening. Ethan continued. "What if humans themselves are the reason? What if we have something they don't understand?" The room fell silent again. Nobody had considered that possibility. Hours later, Ethan returned home. Lily ran toward him the moment he entered. She hugged him tightly. "Did you save Earth?" Ethan smiled tiredly. "Working on it." She looked up at him. "Mom says we're leaving tomorrow." His smile faded. The government had begun relocating civilians. Entire regions were being evacuated. Families separated daily. Nobody knew which places would remain safe. Ethan knelt beside her. "Listen to me." She nodded. "You stay with Mom." "Okay. You be brave. I can do that. And no matter what happens, remember something." "What?" Ethan squeezed her hand gently. "Humans don't quit." Lily smiled. "Never." For a moment, the fear disappeared. For a moment, everything felt normal. Then sirens echoed outside. Reality returned immediately. The invasion had already begun, high above Earth. Another crisis unfolded. A small transport vessel drifted through space, its engines damaged, its systems failing. Inside sat Ambassador Talira, alive, barely. She had escaped moments before Council security arrived. Now she was alone, hunted, and carrying information capable of shaking the galaxy. A warning light flashed. Fuel reserves critical. Life support failing. Talira closed her eyes. She had sacrificed everything, her career, her reputation, her future, maybe even her life, but she could not regret it, not after discovering the truth. Then another alert appeared, unknown vessel approaching. Talira's heart stopped. Council hunters. They had found her. The transport shook violently. A shadow appeared across her cockpit window. A massive warship moved into position. Weapons charging, Talira whispered softly. So this is how it ends. Then something unexpected happened. The warship exploded. A beam of light cut through its hull. Fire erupted across the vessel. Talira stared in disbelief. Another ship emerged from darkness. A ship she did not recognize. No council markings. No military insignia. Nothing. A transmission appeared. One sentence, "Run." Talira immediately accelerated away. Behind her, the mysterious vessel engaged 3 more council ships, fighting alone, buying her time. She never learned who saved her, but one question now haunted her mind. If the council ruled the galaxy, who was brave enough to attack them openly? Back on Earth, another discovery changed everything. Researchers examining council databases uncovered a hidden pattern. Every species labeled an infestation shared one common trait: adaptability, not aggression, not intelligence. Adaptability, the ability to survive almost anywhere, the ability to recover from disasters, the ability to change quickly. Humans matched that description perfectly, perhaps too perfectly. Ethan reviewed the findings repeatedly. The more he studied them, the more uncomfortable he became. A memory surfaced. Years ago, during military service, he had attended a classified lecture. A scientist had explained humanity's greatest strength. Not strength, not speed, not technology, adaptation. Humans learned faster than most species. They adjusted faster, recovered faster, improvised faster. Now Ethan wondered, was that what scared the council? Had they encountered adaptable species before? Had those species eventually threatened their power? The question remained unanswered, for now. Then came the first direct contact. Every communication system on Earth activated simultaneously. Phones, computers, televisions, radios, everything. A single face appeared, Speaker Varex, the architect of humanity's destruction. His expression remained calm, cold, certain. Citizens of Earth, I am Speaker Varex of the Galactic Council. You have been classified as a dangerous infestation. Your removal has been approved. Across the world, billions listened. Varex continued. Surrender peacefully. Your extinction will be swift. Fear spread everywhere. Then something unexpected happened. A small voice interrupted the broadcast. For less than 2 seconds. But long enough, someone had hacked the signal. The entire planet heard a child speak. No! The signal vanished instantly, yet the damage was done. Millions replayed the moment. The mysterious voice belonged to a little girl. One simple word, no. The symbol spread like wildfire. People painted it on walls, vehicles, buildings, flags. No, not surrender. Not today. Not ever. When Ethan arrived home later that night, he nearly laughed. Lily had drawn the same word across a sheet of paper. No. She proudly held it up. Everyone at school is doing it. Ethan stared at the sign. Something shifted inside him. Hope, tiny, fragile, but real. Humanity was terrified, yet they still refused to kneel. The next morning brought even bigger news. Several alien worlds were openly questioning the council. Talira's message had spread farther than anyone expected. Protests erupted across dozens of systems. Council officials denied everything, but doubts were growing, and doubts could become rebellion. Then another message arrived on Earth. This one was different. Encrypted, hidden, addressed specifically to Ethan Hayes. His hands trembled as he opened it. A single sentence appeared. Humanity was never the first species they feared. Below the message was a set of coordinates, deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon, and attached to the coordinates was an image that made Ethan's blood run cold. Because the figure standing inside the photograph looked completely human, yet the image was over 12,000 years old. At the bottom of the file, one final line appeared. "The truth is waiting beneath the moon." Ethan could not stop staring at the image. The photograph looked ancient, damaged, partly corrupted, yet the figure was unmistakable. 2 arms, 2 legs, human face, human eyes, human features. And according to the attached records, the image was over 12,000 years old. That should have been impossible. Humanity had barely begun building cities 12,000 years ago. There were no moon bases, no space travel, no explanation. The secure laboratory around him fell silent. Researchers crowded around the screen. One scientist whispered, "It has to be fake." Another shook her head. "The data checks out." Ethan zoomed in. The figure wore strange clothing. Simple, practical, nothing like an advanced alien civilization. That somehow made the image even more unsettling. Who was this person? And why had the Council hidden evidence of them? A military commander stepped forward. "Can we trust the message?" Nobody answered immediately. Finally, Ethan spoke. "We don't have many options." The commander nodded slowly. Within hours, a mission was approved. A small team would travel to the moon, find the coordinates, and discover whatever secret had been buried there. Meanwhile, high above Earth, the Council fleet remained motionless. Thousands of ships surrounded the planet, yet they still refused to attack. That fact bothered Ethan more than the threat itself. The Council clearly possessed overwhelming power, so why wait, why hesitate, why watch? The answer came sooner than anyone expected. Inside the Council citadel, Speaker Varric stood before a restricted chamber. Only a handful of individuals possessed access. Only a handful knew the truth. The massive door opened slowly. Ancient machines filled the room. Machines older than the Council itself, older than most civilizations in the galaxy. An elderly advisor approached, his voice low. "The situation is becoming unstable." Varric remained silent. "The humans are asking questions." Still silence. "The old records are spreading." Varric finally turned. "They must not reach the moon." The advisor nodded immediately, because both of them knew what waited there, and if humanity discovered it, everything could change. Back on Earth, Ethan boarded a military shuttle. The mission crew was small, only 7 people. Scientists, engineers, security personnel. No one knew what they would find. As the shuttle launched, Ethan looked down at Earth. Blue oceans, white clouds, billions of lives. Everything humanity had ever built, all hanging beneath an alien fleet. The thought made his chest tighten. Across the cabin, a young scientist named Sarah sat quietly. She noticed his expression, thinking about home. Ethan nodded. "My daughter is down there." Sarah smiled softly. "Then let's make sure she has a future." For a moment neither spoke. Then warning alarms suddenly echoed through the cabin. The pilot cursed, "Incoming contact!" The crew rushed toward their displays. A Council patrol ship had appeared, closing rapidly, too rapidly. "They found us!" The shuttle accelerated. The patrol vessel followed, weapons charging. The distance shrank every second. Ethan gripped his seat. The mission might end before reaching the moon. Then a bright flash illuminated space. The Council vessel vanished, gone, destroyed instantly. The crew stared in disbelief. Another unknown ship drifted nearby. Dark hull, no markings. The same mysterious design that had saved Talira. A transmission arrived. Only 2 words. "Keep moving." Then the ship disappeared. Not retreating, not accelerating, simply gone, as though space itself swallowed it. Nobody understood what they had just witnessed, but the path to the moon was open once again. Hours later, the shuttle landed near the coordinates. The lunar surface stretched endlessly around them. Silent, cold, empty. At least it appeared empty. The scanners quickly detected something beneath the ground, a massive structure, far larger than expected. The team entered an ancient tunnel. Dust covered everything. The walls showed signs of incredible age. Thousands of years, maybe more. Sarah ran a scanner across the surface. Her eyes widened. This place shouldn't exist. Ethan nodded. He was starting to hear that phrase a lot lately. The deeper they traveled, the stranger things became. Machines remained active, lights flickered softly, systems continued operating despite their age. Eventually they reached a giant chamber. Everyone stopped walking. Rows of suspended pods stretched into darkness. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Each pod contained a human, not statues, not skeletons. Humans, sleeping peacefully. The room fell silent. Nobody could understand what they were seeing. Sarah approached one pod carefully. A display activated. Ancient symbols appeared, then translated automatically. The first line made Ethan's blood run cold. Colony vessel Orion. The second line hit even harder. Population Preservation Program. The third shattered everything humanity believed about its history. Arrival date, 12,438 years ago. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Finally, a security officer whispered, "My God." Humanity had not originated on Earth, or at least not entirely. Someone had arrived here long ago, someone human, someone advanced enough to cross interstellar space. Ethan felt dizzy. Questions flooded his mind. Where had they come from? What happened to them? Why were they hidden? Then one of the pods suddenly opened. Everyone jumped backward. Cold vapor filled the air. A man stepped out slowly, alive, very alive. He looked confused, disoriented, but human, completely human. His eyes moved across the room, then settled on Ethan. The stranger smiled faintly. "Took you long enough." The team froze. Ethan stepped forward. "Who are you?" The man studied him for a moment, then answered, "My name is Noah. I was born before the Galactic Council existed." Silence filled the chamber. Noah looked around the room, as if confirming something. Then his expression darkened. "They found Earth, didn't they?" Ethan nodded. "Yes." Noah closed his eyes briefly. "I was afraid of that." Sarah stepped closer. "Who are you, really?" Noah looked at the sleeping pods surrounding him, then back at the team. "We were refugees, survivors, escaping an empire." Ethan felt his heart racing. What empire? Noah laughed bitterly. The same empire that calls itself the Galactic Council today. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The council was not a government. It was something older, something far darker. Noah continued. Long ago, humanity ruled thousands of worlds. The words hit like a physical blow. Humanity ruled the galaxy. Impossible. Yet somehow, Ethan believed him. Noah pointed toward the sleeping chambers. The council didn't fear humanity because you were dangerous. They feared humanity because they remembered us. A terrible silence followed. Then alarms suddenly erupted throughout the facility. Red lights flashed everywhere. Emergency systems activated. A mechanical voice echoed across the chamber. "Warning! Hostile forces approaching!" The team looked toward the surface scanners. Their faces turned pale. Council warships were descending toward the moon, hundreds of them. Noah stared at the display, his expression filled with something Ethan had never seen before. Not fear. Recognition, as if he had expected this day for thousands of years. Then another screen activated automatically. A hidden message appeared, addressed directly to Noah. One sentence, simple, terrifying, and impossible. "Emperor, the fleet is ready for your return." The room went completely silent. Every eye turned toward Noah, because in that moment everyone realized one horrifying truth. The man standing before them was not a refugee, not a survivor, not an ordinary human. He was the last emperor of a civilization the galaxy had tried to erase, and above them, the council fleet was already preparing to finish the job. The chamber remained silent. Nobody knew what to say. Nobody knew what to think. Ethan stared at Noah, the last emperor of a forgotten human civilization. The idea sounded impossible, yet everything happening around them was impossible. The sleeping colonists, the hidden moon facility, the ancient technology, the council's fear, it all pointed toward the same truth. Humanity's history had been stolen. The alarms continued screaming. Red lights flashed across the chamber. Council warships were descending rapidly. They had found the facility, and this time they were not waiting. Noah walked calmly toward a control console. His movements were steady, almost familiar. Like a man returning home after a very long journey, Sarah stepped beside him. "You knew this would happen." Noah nodded. Eventually, Ethan crossed his arms, then started explaining. Noah looked at the faces surrounding him. Then he sighed. "You deserve answers." The chamber became quiet again. Thousands of sleeping humans rested behind him. Silent witnesses to a forgotten age, Noah activated a display. Stars filled the air above them. Entire galaxies. Thousands of worlds, civilizations long gone. 14,000 years ago, humanity controlled a vast alliance, Noah said. Not an empire of conquest. An alliance. We traded. We explored. We helped younger species grow. Images shifted across the display. Human ships appeared. Massive fleets. Beautiful cities. Alien worlds working alongside humans. The scene looked peaceful. Hopeful. Nothing like the monster described by the Council. "What happened?" Ethan asked. Noah's expression hardened. The Council happened. The images changed. Now war filled the screen. Burning planets, destroyed fleets, collapsing cities, millions fleeing. The Council began as a small political group. They promised stability. They promised order. But power changes people. Sarah nodded slowly. History seemed to repeat itself everywhere, Noah continued. When humanity refused to surrender authority, the Council declared us a threat, a danger to galactic peace. The wording sounded familiar. Too familiar, Ethan immediately understood. They used the same lie. Noah nodded. Exactly the same lie. The room fell silent once more. The Council had done this before, many times. Any species powerful enough to challenge them eventually became an infestation, a threat, a problem needing removal. The labels changed. The result never did. Then one security officer looked at the sleeping pods. What happened to all of them? Noah turned toward the colonists. His eyes softened. They volunteered. The officer frowned. For what? For survival. The answer came quietly. Noah continued. When the war was lost, thousands entered cryosleep. We hid them across remote worlds. Earth was one of those worlds. The realization hit Ethan immediately. Humanity was not an accident. Earth had been a refuge, a backup plan, a seed waiting to grow again. Then another alarm echoed through the facility. Closer this time. Much closer. Sarah checked a scanner. Her face went pale. They're landing. Noah simply nodded. Of course they are. The scanner displayed hundreds of Council soldiers pouring onto the lunar surface. Dropships arrived every minute. The moon was becoming a battlefield, and humanity had almost no defenses. Almost. Noah suddenly pressed his hand against the console. The entire facility shook violently. Lights flooded every corridor. Machines awakened throughout the complex. Systems dormant for thousands of years came alive. Ethan grabbed a nearby rail. What did you just do? Noah smiled slightly. I opened the doors. The massive display changed. A new image appeared. Dozens of hidden locations scattered throughout the solar system. Asteroids, moons, deep space stations, ancient facilities, all activating at once. Sarah stared at the screen. My God. Noah nodded. The preservation fleet. Across the solar system, hidden shipyards opened. Gigantic vessels emerged from concealment. Some larger than modern Council cruisers, others larger than cities. Thousands of ancient human ships awakened together. For 14,000 years they had waited. Now they answered a single command. Return. Far above Earth, Council commanders watched in disbelief. Emergency reports flooded their systems. Unknown fleets appearing everywhere. Ancient military signatures. Impossible military signatures. One officer rushed into Speaker Varex's command center, his voice shaking. We have confirmation. Varex turned sharply. Confirm what? The officer swallowed. The human fleet. The room became silent. Several commanders laughed nervously. Humanity had no fleet. Everyone knew that. Then the tactical display updated. The laughter died instantly. Thousands of warships filled the screen. Ancient warships. Human warships. Varex's face lost all color. For the first time in decades, fear entered the room. Meanwhile, on dozens of council worlds, another crisis exploded. Talira's warning had already planted doubt. Now evidence began appearing everywhere. Hidden records, secret executions, erased civilizations, corruption scandals. Millions of citizens suddenly learned the truth. The council was not protecting the galaxy, it was controlling it. Protests erupted across hundreds of systems. Military units refused orders. Governors declared independence. Entire planets turned against the council overnight. The empire was beginning to crack. Back on the moon, Ethan watched the unfolding chaos. Part of him felt hope. Real hope. For the first time since the first warning arrived, humanity had a chance. Then Noah's expression changed. The Emperor suddenly looked worried. Very worried. Ethan noticed immediately. What is it? Noah remained silent for a moment. Then he answered. This is happening too easily. The room grew quiet. Sarah frowned. What do you mean? Noah stared at the tactical display. The council should have attacked already. They should be destroying us. But they're still searching. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. Searching, not attacking. Searching for what? Then Noah enlarged a section of the display. A specific council task force appeared. It was moving away from the battlefield, away from Earth, away from the moon, heading somewhere else. Noah's face hardened. No. Ethan stepped closer. What? Noah pointed at the screen. They know. They finally know. Nobody understood. Then a new transmission suddenly arrived. Encrypted. Ancient. Human. Noah opened it immediately. A woman's face appeared. An elderly woman wearing unfamiliar military markings. The recording looked thousands of years old. Yet her words felt immediate. Urgent. Desperate. If you're seeing this, then the council has discovered the archive. Noah froze. The woman continued. They never wanted Earth. They never wanted humanity. The room fell silent. Every person listening felt their pulse quicken. The woman leaned closer. They wanted what we buried beneath Earth. Ethan felt his stomach drop. Not humanity, not territory, something hidden, something buried. The woman continued. The archive contains every secret of the first builders, Sarah whispered. First builders. The term appeared nowhere in recorded history, yet Noah looked horrified, truly horrified. The recording continued. If the council gains control of the archive, they will control every known gateway in the galaxy. Ethan stared at the screen. Gateway. The same mysterious technology responsible for faster-than-light travel. The foundation of galactic civilization. The woman spoke one final sentence. The archive must never fall into their hands. The recording ended. Silence filled the chamber. Then Ethan looked directly at Noah. Where is it? Noah hesitated. For the first time since waking up, he seemed uncertain. Then he answered quietly. It's beneath Earth. The room went still. Everything suddenly made sense. The extermination order, the lies, the secrecy, the fear. The council had never come for humanity. Humanity was simply standing on top of something priceless. Then another transmission arrived. This one was live. Speaker Varex himself appeared on the screen. His calm mask was gone, his confidence gone. Only desperation remained, that frightened Ethan more than anything else. Varex looked directly at Noah, not at humanity, not at Earth, at Noah. Then he spoke a sentence that changed everything. You don't understand. If the archive wakes up, they will return. Noah's face went pale. For the first time, the Emperor looked afraid, and before anyone could ask who they were, every sensor in the solar system detected the same impossible event. Something enormous had just awakened beneath Earth. Every sensor in the solar system lit up at once. Scientists stared at their screens. Military commanders froze. Council fleets stopped moving. Something beneath Earth had awakened, and nobody knew what it was. The energy signal spread through the planet like a heartbeat. Slow, powerful, ancient, across Earth. People looked toward the sky. The oceans began glowing softly at night. Strange lights appeared beneath mountains. Deserts shimmered with patterns hidden beneath the sand. It was as if the entire planet had been sleeping and was now opening its eyes. Inside the lunar facility, Ethan watched the readings climb higher every second. Sarah looked terrified. "I've never seen numbers like this." Neither had anyone else. Then Noah spoke quietly. "I was afraid of this." Ethan turned toward him. "You knew?" Noah nodded. "Only the legends." "What legends?" Noah stared at Earth. "The first builders." Even saying the name seemed to make him uncomfortable. Thousands of years ago, every advanced civilization knew stories about them. The beings who built the Gateway Network, the beings who connected the stars, the beings who disappeared without explanation. Nobody knew where they went. Nobody knew why they left. Only their technology remained, and every civilization depended on it, including the Council, including ancient humanity, including everyone. Then another transmission arrived. This one came from Earth itself, not from any government, not from any military network, from the planet. A signal emerged from beneath the surface and spread across every communication system. Every screen activated, every speaker turned on, every language translated automatically. Billions watched together. A single symbol appeared. Then a voice spoke. Calm, gentle, ancient. Humanity has returned. The entire galaxy heard it. The Council heard it. Talira heard it. Every living being connected to a network heard it. The voice continued. Authorization recognized. Custodian bloodline confirmed. Noah closed his eyes, as though he had expected this. The voice continued. Archive awakening complete. Then the symbol vanished. Nobody understood what it meant, except one person, Noah. Ethan stepped closer. What is a custodian? Noah looked at him, then finally revealed the last secret. Humanity never built the archive. The room fell silent. We protected it. Sarah stared at him. Protected it from who? Noah answered immediately, everyone. Long ago, the first builders had chosen guardians, not rulers, not conquerors, guardians. A species capable of protecting knowledge without abusing it. A species willing to sacrifice for others. A species stubborn enough to keep going when logic said quit. They chose humanity. The revelation stunned everyone. The Council had spent thousands of years hunting the wrong treasure. The true treasure was not the archive itself. It was the trust placed in humanity, far above Earth. Panic erupted inside the Council fleet. Command channels overflowed. Officers shouted conflicting orders. Entire formations began retreating. Speaker Verex watched helplessly, because he knew something most of the galaxy did not. The archive was more than a database. It controlled the Gateway Network, every trade route, every military corridor, every connection between stars. For thousands of years, the Council controlled the galaxy because they controlled access. Now that control was disappearing. Then the impossible happened. Across known space, gateways began shutting down, not permanently, selectively. Council fleets found themselves trapped. Council strongholds became isolated. Council supply lines collapsed overnight. Meanwhile, worlds that had opposed the Council suddenly gained access. The galaxy's balance of power shifted within hours, not through war, through choice. The archive was choosing, and it was not choosing the Council. On hundreds of worlds, celebrations erupted. Oppressed systems declared freedom. Political prisoners were released. Old enemies began talking instead of fighting. For the first time in centuries, hope spread faster than fear. Talira watched the reports arrive one after another. Tears filled her eyes. The truth had survived. Humanity had survived. And perhaps the galaxy would survive too. Back on the moon, another surprise waited. One by one, the sleeping colonists began waking up. Thousands of ancient humans opened their eyes. Men, women, children, Families frozen in time, now returning to a galaxy that barely remembered them. Many stepped from their pods confused. Others immediately began helping nearby crews. Ethan noticed something remarkable. None of them acted like conquerors. None demanded power. None demanded revenge. They simply asked the same question. How can we help? Sarah laughed softly. Still human. Noah smiled. Always human. Then a priority transmission arrived. Speaker Varex requested direct communication. The room became quiet. The screen activated. Varex looked exhausted. Defeated, older than before, the powerful ruler of the galaxy seemed like an ordinary man. For several moments he said nothing. Then he looked at Noah. You've won. Noah shook his head. No. Varex frowned. Noah continued. This was never about winning. The council leader laughed bitterly. Then why fight? Ethan spoke before Noah could answer. Because you tried to erase us. Silence followed. Varex looked away. For the first time, shame appeared on his face. The old emperor stepped closer to the screen. What happens now? Varex asked. It was the question everyone wanted answered. Would humanity seek revenge? Would ancient fleets conquer the galaxy? Would a new empire rise? Noah looked at Ethan, then at Sarah, then at the thousands of awakened colonists. Finally he smiled. A small smile, a human smile. We build. Varex stared at him. Confused, Noah continued. We rebuild what you broke. The transmission ended, just like that. No threats, no executions, no revenge, only a decision. Humanity would build. Months passed. Then years. The old council dissolved. A new alliance formed. Not ruled by humans, not ruled by anyone. Representatives from hundreds of worlds worked together. Mistakes still happened. Arguments still happened. But fear no longer ruled everything. The ancient human fleet became a peacekeeping force. The archive remained protected, and the galaxy slowly healed. One afternoon, years later, Ethan stood on a hill overlooking a growing city. Alien and human children played together nearby. New ships crossed the sky overhead. The future looked brighter than anyone had imagined. Lily stood beside him, older now, taller, smiling. Did we save Earth? Ethan laughed. The same question she had asked long ago. He looked toward the horizon, toward the world humanity almost lost. Then he answered, No. Lily blinked. No. Ethan shook his head. We saved something bigger. She followed his gaze toward the distant stars. Understanding slowly appeared on her face. Above them, a memorial floated in orbit. A simple message visible from every continent. A reminder of the day the galaxy made its greatest mistake. The day humanity was declared an infestation. The message contained only 6 words. They tried to erase us. We built anyway. And across the galaxy, nobody laughed at humanity anymore. Because when the council called them a pest, when extinction seemed certain, when every door closed, humans did what humans had always done. They adapted. They endured. They protected one another. And in the end, they did not inherit an empire. They earned something far greater, the trust of an entire galaxy, the end